team doesn't become dysfunctional overnight. It happens one ignored conversation at a time, one unspoken frustration, one moment where people stop believing their voice matters. Welcome back to Purpose Presence People. I'm Antrea Dowd, your host. And today we're talking about something almost every organization struggles with. Teams that are technically working together, but emotionally disconnected. You can definitely feel it when you walk into the room. People are polite, but a little guarded. Meetings are happening, but nothing changes. Communication exists, but clarity doesn't. And somewhere along the way, the team stopped functioning like a unit and started functioning like individuals trying to survive each other. Today's episode is for leaders who are trying to rebuild fractured teams. Teams struggling with communication or personality conflict, organizations that are tired of tension, silos, and disengagement. People who know the team could be better, but no one knows where to start. You see, because great teams are not built by accident. They are built intentionally. And today, we're going to talk about how to do that. I'm Antrea Dowd, a leadership expert with over 30 years of experience across healthcare, education, and organizational leadership. I've led teams on the front lines, developed leaders across systems, and spent my career helping people navigate what leadership really looks like when things get hard. This is Purpose Presence People. In my experience, I have learned that most leaders think teams fail because of a couple of things: personality differences, poor communication, lack of accountability, general conflict, workload stress. Now, those things definitely matter, but they're usually symptoms of something much, much, much deeper. Teams become weak when trust becomes unsafe. Let me say that again. Teams weaken when trust becomes unsafe. When people stop speaking honestly, this is what happens. Mistakes increase, resentment grows, collaboration decreases, passive-aggressive behavior rises, and innovation disappears. And leaders often miss it because on the surface, the team still looks functional. Everyone is showing up. Everyone is smiling. When asked, everyone's saying, "I'm good." Meanwhile, in the background, morale is collapsing. Frustration is spreading. Emotional exhaustion is rising. And the team begins to slowly drift apart. I call this the silence problem. It's the moment teams stop telling the truth, not because they have nothing to say, but because they no longer believe saying it matters. You can always tell when a team is struggling when no one volunteers ideas. Everybody says whatever works. And you realize that somehow this meeting could have been an email because there's not much conversation. Let me tell you what strong teams do a little differently. Strong teams are not without conflict. If you believe that, that's a myth. Healthy teams absolutely have disagreements, but healthy teams know how to disagree without destroying each other. They challenge each other's ideas without becoming defensive, and they're able to repair trust quickly. And then they stay aligned when they're under stress. You see, the strongest teams are not perfect. They are resilient teams. They bounce forward differently. And resiliency inside a team comes from 5 different factors. Clarity. People need to know what success looks like. They need to know what matters most. They need to know who owns what on this project. And then definitely clear expectations. Confused teams become frustrated teams. Leaders sometimes assume, well, they should know that. No. If expectations are unclear, tensions grow in the gaps. You see, strong leaders over-communicate the clarity of the project. Next one is trust. Trust is not built during motivational speeches. It's built during consistency. Teams ask themselves, can I depend on you? Will you listen? Are we safe with each other? You see, trust is not created by titles. It's created by behavior. Strong communication is not about talking more. It's about understanding better. Some teams talk constantly, but still misunderstand each other on a daily basis. Those great teams learn how to actively listen. They have emotional awareness, direct communication, respectful feedback, and most importantly, they have curiosity instead of assumptions. Next, we have accountability. Healthy accountability says, we are committed to excellence together. On the flip side of that, toxic accountability says, who can we blame? You see, there's a difference between the two because strong teams will normalize ownership without shame. And when they do that, that changes everything. Next is a shared purpose. You see, people work differently when they feel connected to something meaningful. I tell my leaders all the time, connect your team back to their why, because teams become stronger when they understand why their work matters. If I don't do a good job at this, who does this impact? They want to know, how can I contribute? And then they want to know, what are we building together? Purpose creates alignment, and alignment is going to give you that momentum to succeed. You see, teams don't become extraordinary because everyone thinks alike. They become extraordinary because everybody commits to the same mission. Now, I want to talk leadership for a moment because leaders shape the emotional climate of the team. I call this the emotional climate effect. You can call it transference of energy, but it's the emotional energy of the leader that becomes the emotional energy of the team. Think about it. You ever been in a really, really good mood and you walk into the room and someone's not having a great day, and then they dump on you and you feel like they've sucked the life out of you because they set the emotion of the room at that moment. And so that's a perfect example of how, as leaders, we set the emotion of our teams. So be very mindful, because if we are reactive or unclear or defensive, inconsistent, or emotionally unpredictable, the team absorbs it. Leaders set the tone, whether you realize it or not. And sometimes we unintentionally create the dysfunction that we're trying to solve. And so here are 3 things I want you to stop doing. Stop avoiding the hard conversations. You see, avoidance doesn't create peace. It delays conflict until that conflict becomes culture. And so strong leaders address tension early. Here's what I want you to remember. What you ignore, you condone. What you condone, you create. And what you create is the culture of your unit, your department, or your organization. The next thing I want you to stop doing, stop rewarding silence. If the only voice being heard is the loudest in the room, eventually everyone around is going to begin to disengage. Leaders, we must create space for the quieter voices, those who want to speak up but are not given a chance. We want to create that space for honest feedback. You see, disengagement and difficult truths is what we want to create space for. Number 3, just because everyone is busy doesn't mean everyone is united. So do not confuse activity with alignment. A busy, disconnected team still struggles. Alignment matters more than motion. And so I want to give you some tips in today's podcast on how to rebuild a struggling team. So if your team is struggling right now, here's where I want you to begin. Not with another motivational speech, okay? And don't go out and do another pizza party. I know, everyone loves free food, but that is not how you rebuild your struggling team. And let's not start off with one of those let's communicate better speeches. I want you to start here. Tell the truth. Leaders must acknowledge reality. Their perception is their reality. You see, the team already knows when things feel a little off. Pretending everything is fine destroys your credibility. Step 2, rebuild safety. I want you to ask, what are we avoiding? What conversations are overdue? Where has trust been damaged? What does this team need from each other moving forward? Step 3, recreate connection. You see, people collaborate better when they feel humanized. Teams need to share wins. They need to have meaningful dialogue. They need to have appreciation, a moment to reflect, and they also need to show empathy. Step 4, I want you to create a team agreement. This is kind of like a commitment that they're going to make to each other, because what healthy teams do is they define how they are going to communicate, how they are going to handle conflict, and how they're going to support each other. And most importantly, they define what accountability looks like. When you do that up front, things get easier. Unspoken expectations create confusion. Defined expectations create unity. Step 5, I want you to model it daily. You see, culture is not built in workshops alone. Culture is built in repeated behaviors. That means every meeting, every conversation, every response, every interaction. Leaders teach teams how to function by what they repeatedly tolerate and reinforce. When we talk about leading from the edge, this is where we lead teams through the edge. You see, the edge is that space between what I don't know and what I do know. It's that uncomfortable space that most people retreat from. And so what many leaders misunderstand about team development is they think, well, the goal to make my team more functional is to eliminate the discomfort. No. The goal is to help teams move through the discomfort together. Because every strong team eventually will reach the edge. And so the edge is where communication gets difficult, where personality clashes, where uncertainty rises, where pressure increases, where trust is tested, where growth becomes uncomfortable. And many teams never make it past that moment. Why? Because discomfort makes people want to retreat. In that moment of discomfort, some people become defensive. Some will disengage altogether. Some will just, you know what, I'm going to avoid conflict, so I'm not going to say anything. Some will try to over-control the situation. And then there are the ones who just emotionally shut down. But dynamic teams, they learn how to start connected inside that tension. That's where the edge model becomes transformational. If your team is struggling right now, that doesn't mean that your team is broken forever. It simply means trust needs rebuilding. Clarity needs restoring. Communication needs strengthening. And leadership, you need recalibrating. You see, strong teams are not born, they're built. And the best leaders understand this. Teamwork is not about forcing people to agree. It's about helping people move forward together. Because when teams embrace the edge instead of fearing it, conflict becomes growth, discomfort becomes development, communication becomes stronger, trust becomes deeper, alignment becomes clearer, and eventually, the team that once struggled to function together becomes the team everyone else wants to become. You see, because the edge was never the threat. Avoiding it was. I'm Antrea Dowd. And remember, leadership is tested when tension enters the room and you choose to build trust anyway. Every great team eventually faces tension. The difference is whether the tension will break them or build them. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Purpose, Presence, People. Until next time, keep leading with purpose, keep showing up with presence, And never underestimate the power of people working together. If this episode resonated with you, share it with your leadership teams. Send it to someone rebuilding culture. Use it as If this episode resonated with you, share it with your leadership teams. Send it to someone rebuilding culture. Use it as a discussion starter in your next meeting. And if your organization is looking for team building workshops, leadership development, communication training, culture transformation experiences, please visit purposepresencepeople.com for more information.